The remains of more than half of the victims in a plane crash in Egypt have been flown back to Russia. All 224 on board were killed. Relatives gathered at a morgue in St. Petersburg, giving DNA samples to help identify the victims. CCTV's Lorna Shaddick has the latest from Moscow.
It wasn't the way they were supposed to come home. In grim dawn light, these two trucks took the remains of some 144 passengers to a morgue in St. Petersburg on Monday. There, they're being identified using DNA samples already given by family members. But the question of how they died is still far from answered. The airline on which they were flying says it's not the fault of its plane or its pilot.
There are no such faults, like engine failure, system failure. There is no such combination of systems failure that could lead to a plane breaking up in the air. That is why the only possible explanation for a breakup of the aircraft in the air could be a certain impact, some mechanical or physical impact.
But there was no explanation as to what that impact might have been. The airline says it's up to the official investigation to decide. And with flowers piling up outside St. Petersburg airport, the Kremlin still says it's too early to comment on the cause of the crash, though it's not ruling out terrorism or mechanical failure. But civil aviation sources are already saying the plane wasn't struck from outside and no distress call was made by the crew.
As Russians continue to mourn the 217 passengers and 7 crew on board the Metrojet plane, it's travel agencies like this one here in the Russian capital that are feeling the pinch as customers stay away from cheap flights and especially from travel to Egypt.
Tourism experts say it's a problem in the short term, and whether the trend continues will depend on the cause of the crash.
We've already had dozens of cancellations, but the agencies think that there will be more cancellations because of the possibility of a terrorist attack. If this was only a technical problem, then the reaction would be different. But the more they talk about a terrorist attack, the more people will cancel, because they are afraid to fly.
As more bodies are flown into St. Petersburg, Russian President Vladimir Putin has said everything must be done to create an objective picture of events. But with several competing narratives swirling around, that picture is getting harder, not easier, to discern. Lorna Shaddick, CCTV, Moscow.